Lady the First Engine. Story 2. Like Magic. Lady was put through her paces. During the morning she would take a small train of both coaches and trucks up and down a small stretch of line. Then in the afternoon she would head down to the building site and help lay new railway tracks. The plan was to reach Kelsthorpe, then begin building the new line to Kirkrodham. Mr. Stone would often be at the building site, his smart suit being replaced by dirty brown overalls. He was very kind to Lady, often polishing her at the end of the day, or acting as her fireman if needed. "You keep the railway going like magic," he would say. Mr. Bimmer, on the other hand, just barked orders at everyone, telling them to get back to work. Soon the railway reached a problem. Rocky terrain blocked the way, right in the path the railway wanted to go down. "We can't build tracks over it," explained a workman. "It's too uneven." "Aye, and we can't go around it either," chimed in another. "It's too wide." Mr. Boomer smiled. "Then we'll go through it," he declared. And that's just what they did. The next time Lady headed up to the building site, she had a train full of barrels of gunpowder. She felt rather uncomfortable hauling such a load, but Mr. Stone spoke kindly to her. "Don't worry, milady," he said. "If we go slowly and carefully, then we'll be safe." Lady felt a bit better after that. Along the way, the line passed through a forest. Lady liked this part of the line. Something about it was very comforting to her. The big tree branches stretched over the railway line, keeping Lady sheltered and safe in its grasp. Mr. Stone went on about how it wasn't safe and eventually something would have to be done about the trees. But for now they acted as the perfect shield for Lady against the hot sun or gloomy rain. Something about this place felt almost magical to her. Even as she steamed through with a train of dangerous explosives, Lady felt very calm. Once she arrived, she saw the men digging small holes into the side of the rock with a pickaxe. Then they filled the holes with gunpowder that Lady had brought over. Fuses were laid and finally lit. Everyone stood far back and... As the smoke cleared and the dust settled, everyone looked on at the massive crater. Mr. Boomer was very impressed. "Well, what are you waiting for?" he shouted. "Don't stop now!" And the blasting continued all throughout the day and long into the night. The next morning a substantial amount of work had already been completed. However, there was lots of rock and debris that needed to be taken away, and of course, Lady was the one to do it. She brought a train of empties down to the site, and the men began loading the rubble into her trucks. "You're going to need more trucks," explained a workman. "You have nowhere near enough." "We could always empty the remaining gunpowder barrels from the other trucks she brought yesterday," suggested another. "Aye, we could. That still may not be enough," came the reply. "Don't worry," smiled Mr. Stone in Lady's cab. "We'll go collect more. You can unload all the gunpowder while we're gone." And so it was agreed. Lady hurried back up the line, looking for all the trucks she possibly could. She soon arrived back with 9 trucks rattling behind her. She coupled all the trucks together, having a big train of 23 trucks in total. "That'll be plenty," grinned the workman. And soon the loading began. However, Lady was beginning to grow anxious. She never pulled a train this long before. "Don't worry, milady," smiled Mr. Stone. "When you put your mind to it, you can do anything." Lady smiled, but she felt dreadfully nervous inside. Soon the workman gave the all clear. Lady gripped the rails firmly and began to slowly move the train. Her couplings tightened and her boiler strained. At first her wheels slipped and she stayed in one spot. The workmen whispered to each other. "They think I can't do it," Lady thought to herself. "But I must. The railway is counting on me." And so with one great heave, Lady began to slowly move the long train out onto the open line. The journey was difficult. Lady could only go so fast with so many trucks and no brakeman. The railway didn't have any yet. The trucks also didn't make things easy. They were only small with wooden boards, but to Lady they felt like the size of a steamship. "I can do it, I can do it," she said to herself, but in the end it was all too much. Lady soon came to a complete stop, releasing a big cloud of steam. "I'm sorry, my lady," sighed Mr. Stone. "Maybe we did bite more than we could chew with this one." Lady felt very disappointed in herself. She felt as if she had let the whole railway down. She looked upwards towards the sky. Well, the little she could see anyway. The sky just peeked through the tree branches that stood high above her. Lady blinked. She looked around and realised where she was. She was in her small forested part of the line. Her face began to change, going from a look of despair to that of determination. "No," she puffed with feeling. "I can do this. I must do this." "Are you sure?" asked Mr. Stone. "Yes. Come on, let's get this job done." So Mr. Stone hopped back into Lady's cab and began to rebuild her fire. Soon it was burning brightly, and Lady mentally prepared herself to move the heavy train. With one big effort, she began to move the trucks once again. The weight of the train was almost unbearable. The trucks dragged and dawdled behind her, but Lady didn't care. Her fire roared, and the water in her boiler bubbled. "I can do it. I will do it. I will do it," she huffed with feeling. At last they staggered into Crovan's gate. The men, and even a few workhorses, all stared in shock as Lady clattered in with her 23 trucks, finally coming to a stop. The silence was quickly broken by Mr. Stone as he hopped out of the cab. "Come on, you lot," he said. "Load up those carts. Ready the horses. We need to shift this waste out of here." Everyone hopped to work and began emptying Lady's trucks into many, many carts. When it was done, Mr. Stone turned to Lady. He wanted to tell her a job well done, but she was already fast asleep. Mr. Stone carefully hopped back into Lady's cab and slowly moved her into the shed. "Have a good rest, my lady," he whispered as he left. "You really do keep this railway going like magic."